multiplayer has been around in gaming since, well, the very beginning of gaming. And it has evolved a lot since then, obviously, but it originally started out as just local play. Even though lots of video games have moved on to online play where you don't actually have to go to other people's houses to play games with them, I will always still remember the days when you had to go over and play locally with people, or there's no playing at all, and lots of people will too. So I decided to make a top 5 list on my top 5 favorite local multiplayer in games. I gotta say it right, don't I? Oh, let's get started. So starting off, we have the multiplayer from Mortal Kombat. So, speaking of Mortal Kombat, it's been around for a very long time. It's been around since the 90s. The original was released more than 20 years ago, and ever since then it's kept up its popularity pretty well. Now, it's fun to play with friends, even though it kind of ruins a few friendships. But the funnest thing to do is just pull a fatality on your friend and watch their look of horror as their character gets brutally murdered in whichever way he is, depending on the fatality. So, Mortal Kombat is always just a fun thing to play with friends and sometimes even family. Even though I personally never really play it competitively, I like to play casually just to mess up some friends or get messed up myself, because normally going into a Mortal Kombat game, I'm mainly curious about what the fatalities are. And I'm sure you are too. So Mortal Kombat, number 5, moving on. And at number 4, we have the local multiplayer from Mario Party. None in specific, it's just the footage I'm showing is from Mario Party 8 because that's the only one I currently have. So yeah, just enjoy the Mario Party 8 footage. But this is a fun game to play with friends just because of the mini games. That's the only reason, because there's so many different kinds of mini games, so many different kinds of skill sets. Most people can't just be good at Mario Party in general. They can be good at lots of the video games, mini games. But a lot of times there's people who are good at certain mini games, others aren't, and it's just really fun because there's a lot of luck involved, but the skill that is involved is also really random. So it's really fun to play with friends, especially competitive friends, because if they're really good at video games and you beat them, it's extremely satisfying. So at number 4, we have the local multiplayer from any Mario Party game, really. At number 3, we have the local multiplayer from Kirby Superstar. Now this is a pretty specific one for me, but this is just my opinion, because me and my best friend growing up, we used to play this game together all the time. Now, I only had one controller at the time, so we could only play the Megaton Punch Championship minigame, because we learned that since you're taking turns in it, you can just unplug the controller and put it into port 2 instead of port 1, and then player 2 can go, which is, that's a pretty cool exploit that we discovered when we were younger. But even so, later on when we got older, I eventually did get another controller, and then we could play it together, and it was also really fun, because then you can do the story and stuff like that together, and it's really fun, and it brings back a lot of memories, and I also like it, especially because Kirby Superstar is one of my favorite video games of all time. I just have such fond memories of it, and so yeah, the local multiplayer in Kirby Superstar, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So at number 2, we have the split screen multiplayer from specifically any Halo game, really. Any first person shooter. I'm picking Halo. Now this one is also kind of personal for me, just because when I was younger, my parents never let me play Halo games, mostly because when Halo first started coming out and showing up at the rental place, I'd go there and I'd see it was usually Halo 1 or Halo 2 there, and I'd want it so bad, but we didn't have an Xbox, and also it was a really violent game, so my parents just didn't let me get it, and I was devastated. But I had a friend who had it, and I'd go to his house and we'd play it all the time, and it was so much fun. And I know that there's screen peeking and all that, and everybody does it, like even your friend who says, I don't screen peek, you know they're screen peeking. You know, they know they are. But even so, The split screen in Halo is awesome. Any first-person shooter, it's awesome. It's so much fun. It's a blast, and I love it. It's really good local multiplayer. And at number 1, we have the local multiplayer from the Super Smash Brothers games. Now, Super Smash Brothers is they're just my favorite fighting games. The first one I ever had was the original Super Smash Bros. 64. But I also had a friend who had Melee, so I played that a lot with him. And then Brawl came out, and I played that a lot too. And it's my favorite fighting game, and the multiplayer is just so much fun. Beating up your friends in a virtual world, it's just special in Smash Bros. Especially when you can play as your favorite Nintendo characters. And I mean, when I first played it, I didn't really know many of the characters because I started off with just a PlayStation. But whatever, I started playing a lot more Nintendo games after that, and now I'm a big fan of Nintendo, obviously, and just playing with friends, Smash Bros. They're just, in my opinion, there's just nothing like that. That's the best. It's awesome. So that's why I'm putting Super Smash Bros. Any kind local multiplayer at number 1 on this list. And you know, thanks so much for watching. Congratulations if you got this far on the list. And so yeah, as usual, if you want to subscribe, it's totally up to you. And I'll see you guys in the next video.